So we're gonna give both of our top 5 home invasion movies.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, Lucian, why don't you start? What's your number 5?
My number 5. Now, full disclosure, I haven't seen these movies in a while. Some of them, and also home invasion as a subgenre is something that I'm a little blind on, in that I haven't seen all of the classics. I haven't seen, Last House on the Left, things like that. But these are my personal ones that I came up with that I just really enjoy. When I'm looking for home invasion movies, I'm not looking for something like Funny Games, for example. I'm not like looking to have my life changed in any way. I just want schlock. I just really want schlock. And so my top 5 is schlock, all schlock. Cool. So number 5 coming in is the recently released Knock Knock by Eli Roth.
Yeah. I haven't seen that film. How's that?
Oh my God. It's fucking awesome. So it's a terrible movie right off the bat. It's like a hard 5 out of 10. However, it commits so fully to how stupid its premise is. It basically turns into a comedy. It is a comedy. It's not a horror movie in any way. It's about, so Keanu Reeves, if I remember correctly, he's married, he's house sitting or whatever, or he's home alone. Basically, his family goes on. His family has a son and a wife. They leave to go somewhere. He's alone at the house, and then these 2 hitchhikers show up. These 2 insanely attractive younger women show up.
Yeah. And it's like Ana de Armas, right? And some other chick.
Ana de Armas and Lorenza Izzo, I think is her name. She ended up marrying the director Eli Roth. But they just show up. Basically, it's like a thunderstorm. They're like, "Oh, please, can we just stay here the night?" And ultimately, they end up, they take over. They, basically they seduce him, and then they tie him up, and then they do all kinds of wacky shit. And then they threaten him to, like, they take nude photos, and they threaten to send him to his wife, and then it's just silly shit. It just fully commits to the schlock in a way that, like, you could tell Eli Roth was just having fun with it. And Keanu Reeves is an absolute sport, because some of the shit that he does in this movie is just like, I can't think of another A-lister who would do this movie, basically.
Yeah. No, I've seen, so like something that comes up in my recommended feed is always like when Keanu sees the 2 of them and they're like wet.
Yeah.
Like, oh, can you please let me in? And
it's so dumb. It's so comedic, because anyone in their right mind would just throw these girls out, right? Because he's so conflicted. He's like, "Oh no, but my wife." Oh, like, it's just barely a level above porn acting the entire time.
Yeah, but I mean, it seems like a porn premise, right?
It is a porn premise, but it just gets weirder. It just gets sillier. Like the one of the girls dresses up as like a schoolgirl, and she's like jumping on his bed and stuff. It's just so fucking dumb. I love this movie just for how hard it commits to the porn premise, and then how weird it gets. It gets dark and like weird by the end, but it still retains. It has humor to it. It's not meant to be taken seriously. So I like Knock Knock for that reason.
Yeah, and it's memorable, right? Like,
super memorable. Yeah, like you would know. I mean, there's not any individual scenes that you can think of that is like, "Oh wow, that was a really cool scene." It's just the whole thing is just like, Jesus Christ, that was a trip.
Yeah.
It sticks out in your mind. Yeah.
Cool. Okay, so my number 5 film was Funny Games from 2007.
Okay.
So me and my friend Salvador, shout out to him if he ever listened to this. We watched this. Yeah, we watched this film in Berkeley. At one of the when it came out in 2007, at one of the, like, I forget what the name of the indie theaters are over there.
Don't know.
Yeah, but so we went there. We went to see that. There was like maybe 5 people in the theater, including us. We're watching this movie, and halfway through, the other people walk out.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I would love to have been in that room.
And I'm telling you, at the time I was probably like 19. My 19-year-old self was freaking enraged. I was so angry. I was so angry with this movie.
At the movie, not at the people walking out.
Oh yeah, with the movie. Yeah, I was kind of tempted to walk out too.
Yeah.
And it wasn't until later that I realized that was the intent.
Yeah.
That was the intent. Now, there are definitely things even from then that were like memorable about the film. Like, there's a bunch of moments where Michael Pitt like breaks the fourth wall and he talks to the audience and is trolling the audience.
Yeah, yeah.
He trolls the audience. It's like, don't you want a good ending? Don't you want something interesting? And it's just so funny, like when you understand what Michael Haneke is trying to do with that film.
Yeah.
The analogy I would paint is like he's basically trying to take the audience hostage, and he's trying to like make us understand violence in a different way by presenting us this genre trope and then just not giving us what we want.
Yeah.
And saying like, you know, violence is bad. Why do you want to see violence? Yeah.
And Funny Games, either version, but I like the American one because I like the actors in it. But that would be at the top of my list. But that's not what I go to the genre for. Yeah. That I would say it hijacks, like you said, it hijacks the genre to make another point.
It's like a good subversion of expectations.
Right. So that's why I didn't put it on my list. I would have put it at the very top because I'm into sick shit. So, and I really like the way that he approached it. But for the purposes of just when I want to watch one of these movies, I want to eat popcorn. You can't eat popcorn watching Funny Games.
No, and that's the intent. The intent is that you as the audience are kind of supposed to suffer, and you know, in that sense, it totally works, and it's a brilliant film. It's really brilliant.
Love it. I love it to pieces. Yeah, but I just didn't make my list for that reason.
Yeah. Okay. So what's your number 4 film?
Number 4, I throw it in there just because it's a classic. It's not I mean, it's just brought up a lot. But it's not really a traditional home invasion movie. I do think the third act is fucking hilarious, though. Straw Dogs, the original with Dustin Hoffman. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. That's a good film.
Yeah, it's not home invasion in the traditional sense where we're stuck inside the entire time. You know, like pretty much every other movie on my list is just we are inside the house. That's where the action takes place. This takes place in a village where there's a lot of interpersonal stuff going on. But the final act of the film is when, you know, they're locked inside their house and people are trying to break in and stuff. And he kind of Home Alones some things. Obviously, this is before Home Alone, but he like Home Alone some traps and things like that. So it has all of those genre tropes. It's just a classic. I had to get a 70s movie in there because I love 70s movies.
Yeah, that's a classic. Sam Peckinpah.
Yeah, Peckinpah.
I'm going to give you violence at the end of the film.
Yes. But but the thing is that the rest, it's not in the way that Funny Games is like really, really, really trying to push a message. This movie might have been trying to push a message for the time, but the rest of it is so over the top and silly and done in the Peckinpah way of just like too much. Just stylistically, just excess, you know, just people just fucking doing nasty shit the whole time.
Yeah.
It didn't quite, you know, turn me out. Like I could still watch this and have a good time.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, cool. So yeah, my number 4 film is The Collector. And I really liked this film because I thought that the villain was interesting. Like I was saying before, the Collector, this guy, is very intriguing and weird, and like I'm just definitely interested in seeing things about this villain. And like the protagonist, they don't set up a lot, but they make you care for him. Like he has a family, he's in with the mob. He needs to pay them by the end of the day, or else they're gonna kill his family or do something. He's at this house, and by every intent he should leave, but he doesn't. Yeah. He's fighting for other people. He gets out, and then the dude still captures him.
Yeah. And adds him to his collection, you know, as far as you know.
But like the that film is memorable to me, at least. Like the traps are unique.
That's what I was gonna say. Remind me again, but the things that I remember from that movie are the traps.
Yeah.
And Madeline Zima. That's all I really remember.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, the traps are great. Like, there's a bunch of really cool, crazy traps. I mean, this was another film, like Saw, that was inspired by the movie Seven. And so,
sure,
yeah. So I thought it really worked. I think the sequel's worse.
Oh,
but
God, no.
It's still okay. And they are actually going to make a third film.
Are they really?
They are. I think that I don't know if they shot it yet, but they are making a third film.
I would love to be a fly on the wall for that movie.
What's the second one? The second one's The Collection,
The
right?
Collection, yeah.
And then the third one's going to be The Collected.
Oh my God! But the second movie kind of goes. It goes away from the like tension-filled one location thing, and it's bigger, right?
It's big, yeah. I believe they go to his.
They go to his home, yeah. But it's like sillier, I think. I
It
think
is sillier.
Yeah.
It's dumber because like it starts like it's a little inconsistent because it starts off where he's like at a club and then he booby trapped the club and he kills a bunch of people.
Oh yeah. Oh man.
Yeah, and it's like what?
It's been a while. It's been a while.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
I do really like that first.
Oh yeah, and then this team of people. So the collector collects a rich kid, and then the rich guy hires mercs to get the guy out of get his kid out of his place. So then they go to the protagonist from the first film. They go find him in the hospital. He's escaped. Like, oh, he's the only guy to ever escape. They find this dude and they take him out of the hospital and like they Shanghai him. They're like, you're gonna help us find this guy.
right. Because you were the protagonist.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
It's so good.
It's ridiculous. But that film is way more memorable than this film. Okay, yeah. Even the Collected, even though that's
100%. It's all about. Again,
it's going for something. It's trying to show something
to a thing. Yeah, it sticks to a thing and then it follows through.
Yeah, it sticks with its thing. It knows what it is.
Yeah.
Right. Anyway, so yeah, my number 4 is The Collector. So what's your number 3?
My number 3 is Panic Room, the David Fincher joint, because it's probably the best overall movie on my entire list. But it's also a good home invasion movie. I mean, it's all takes place in one location. Traps was a thing that I really like about the genre. That's why I put Straw Dogs on there. That's why Knock Knock has some of those moments. This is less so, the kind of how are we gonna, kill these guys or get out of this situation. It's more tense because of the Kristen Stewart, the daughter character. She has to have her insulin or whatever, and there's a lot more kind of personal tension in this movie than any of the other ones. A lot of the other ones are like, well, Straw Dogs, I guess, excluded, but they're a lot more like plot driven, where we just need to get out of this situation. Whereas Panic Room has a lot of like, you really like it. Just they build these characters up really well, and the actual guys who are invading, they have their own little bickering between them and stuff.
Yeah.
And you
can tell like the one guy, he doesn't really want to do it. He's like, we need to get out. We need to stop.
Exactly.
And the other guy is like a straight up killer.
Yeah. So there's levels to it that a lot of these other movies don't have, where it's just bad guy versus, innocent or whatever. This has more layers to it. And obviously it's, probably the best directed of the bunch because it's David Fincher. Yeah. So
he's a master.
Yeah. But I threw it at number 3 as opposed to, because I'm saying it's the best one. I threw it at number 3 just because, again, it's that middle balance of like actually a good movie and still a little thrillery and schlocky. So it's right in the middle for me.
Yeah. Cool. Yeah. That's one of my favorites too.
Yeah.
So my number 3 is the movie Hush from 2016.
I haven't seen that one.
Yeah, it's a good one. It's a Mike Flanagan film. It's like, I think it was, so he did like 2 movies around the same time, I believe, or they got released around the same time. He did this film, very simple, very low budget film. It's about a deaf woman who's played by his wife, who
it's ringing bells now.
Yeah. And then so this guy, she's a writer, and so this guy just comes to break into her house and kill her. And I mean, that's the plot, and it's a really well written film. I think it's really well done, and one of my Flanagan's first like really bigger budget films. And
cool. I need to watch that. I need to put that on my list.
Yeah, I watched it early. I think I watched it like last year, like late last year, and I just like watching horror films, and I watched a bunch of his films. I think Mike Flanagan's a great director, great horror director. Okay. He's done a lot of good work, and Hush is a good film. It's not it's not like The Collector or whatever, where it's like there's
a little silly, yeah,
the craziness. It's more grounded, but still delivers on the genre promises in a good way.
Okay.
And so it's a very interesting one to kind of compare to this film, The Rental.
Yeah. Does anyone make it out
of Hush?
Yeah. Oh, okay.
He also does these things. He has these. The other thing too about it is what makes that film good for like if you're saying like a first time directed thing or like a if you're trying to put your stamp on something. He does things with the narrative. He does things with subjective point of view of a character.
Very cool.
That I haven't seen anyone else really do, actually. I mean, they might have. People tend to borrow from all sorts of places, but he does it in a way, and he does it in later films too, especially if it's like there's one character who's stuck, like to show someone's thought process of like, okay, how do I survive this scenario? So yeah, that's like a good way of like putting your stamp of your uniqueness on a genre that's already had a whole bunch of,
and it's more novel than it's more novel than just having like really wacky camera angles or anything. I think deconstructing the genre from within, narrative stuff is way more interesting to me, at least. So that sounds, I mean, whatever you're selling, I'm buying. So I'm definitely going to watch that one.
Yeah, it's a good film. So what's your number 2 film?
Well, if you want to talk about grounded and less silly and just a little more harrowing, it's got to be The Strangers.
Strangers.
Freaking love this movie. It's not fun or funny at all, but it's not trying to harass you like something like Funny Games. It's just a really, really well constructed thriller, I thought. It's about this married couple, and then basically it's just about these two people. I don't think anyone else ever enters it other than the people who enter their house. And I
think there's one other guy that does come. Like they had to come from a wedding, and then another guy shows up, and I think he's subsequently very quickly killed.
Yeah, right. But mostly it's about these two people and
the couple.
And
Tyler and that
Liv
guy
Tyler and Scott Speedman, I think.
Yeah, I think that's right.
Yeah. But anyways, this is just, it's up there for me because it's just really well made. It's as much as I want to see schlock and I just want to see stabbings, this one I actually fear for these characters. I don't want to see them get stabbed.
I feel so. That's another good film to bring up because everyone dies at the end of that film.
Yes.
Other than the killers.
Mm-hmm.
But it's done totally differently from The Rental.
Correct. Yeah. It's done in a way. I mean, it's not. We don't know anything about these people either.
Yeah.
We never learn anything about them. In The Rental, we follow the serial killer around for 10 minutes and we learn his entire mode of operation.
And we basically see him do another murder.
Yeah. It's way, 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 way scarier to me to think that this is just something that can happen and then you get fucking killed for no reason.
They pick your house on the block.
Yeah, exactly. And these degenerates are just out there versus this guy has a method, he's just, this is what he does.
Yeah. You can avoid the rental guy. Just don't go to Airbnb.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So I really like the Strangers for that reason. It's more grounded. It's harrowing. But it's not my number 1 because I still need a little bit of that popcorn silliness, and this movie has none of that. But it is just extremely well made.
Yeah. It has a great score too. The score is beautiful, and it's like all done with guitar. Beautiful score. Yeah,
it picks a gear and then it sticks in that gear the entire time. It doesn't have too many inconsistencies.
Cool. Yeah. So my number 2 film is Don't Breathe.
Yeah, I was going to put that on my list too. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a really, really, really well done, well-written film. I watched that recently too, probably within the last 5 months, and I was really, really impressed with it. Like I felt like this is like something that people should watch, at least, even if, because I know there are people that don't like some of the twists. There's like a twist maybe in the middle of the film.
I don't like that twist.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's why that's not why it didn't make my list, but there's a couple of reasons it didn't.
I found it interesting. I mean, at least as a premise, it was like, okay, that ups the stakes. And at least if you don't like that twist, at least then that's another way of viewing this genre. Mm-hmm. Because I don't know if I'd ever really seen anything where. So first off, that's a home invasion where the protagonists are the invaders.
Yeah.
For one.
Yeah, that's cool. That's true.
And the killer is this guy who's blind.
Mm-hmm.
And then on top of that, he has a secret that gets revealed in the middle of the film. And so it's just like stuff on top of stuff. And
it's like surprises, but like from the opposite side.
yeah. So I thought it was a really great take on the genre, on so many levels.
Yeah. Does it bother you at all that it just devolves into absolute slapstick by the end with the dogs and everything?
Oh, it kind of loses the
That's when
plot a
it
bit.
lost me. And then the twist, of course, was just, I thought it was just gruesome for the
Well,
sake.
the other thing too is like it starts off where you see her running, right? And so then you're like, okay, so I know where we're going. I know we're gonna get to that point at some point.
True. Yeah.
Which is kind of another choice where you can kind of go either way with it.
But, I mean, I thought that at least the first half of that movie, the way that they build the tension of just these shitheads breaking into this guy's house, and you're inclined to side with the guy. They're harassing this guy. He's blind. It's fucked up what they're doing. You're not really
Stephen Lang, and he's a bad motherfucker. So
God damn, what a performance in that movie. Yeah, just a ripped, fucking pissed off old man. Yeah, but then again, he just turns into like a way too much of a villain for me with his secret fucking incubator or whatever in his basement. I didn't like that twist very much, but I
think you're not alone. I think most people don't like it. Well, I wouldn't say most, but I've seen a lot of people.
I mean, it's directed. I fucking love that movie. It's still like a solid 7 or an 8 for me. Like it's directed extremely well.
Extremely well. Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. So what's your number one?
Well, glad you asked. My number one has nothing to do with furthering the genre or playing with conventions or doing anything like that. This is the ideal fucking shit-kicking popcorn action home invasion movie. A little-known movie, Hostage with Bruce Willis. Are you familiar with it?
No.
I fucking adore this movie. So it's not good. Again, but it's basically, so Bruce Willis is a hostage negotiator, and the movie opens up with him with one of his failed attempts at he's negotiating. This guy's holding up a store, whatever. He has like a woman in there and a child. I think he ends up Bruce Willis fucks it up so hard. He's like so sure of himself that he fucks it up to the point where the guy ends up like killing the people he's taken hostage, and he kills himself, and they learn nothing. And so then we fast forward a couple years. He's down on his luck, hard-boiled hostage negotiator. He's like, I won't take any more jobs because of this one thing that happened. Then he's got some personal trauma of his own. And then I believe it's his friend or something. There's a group of teenagers who are just hard caricatures. One of the group is Ben Foster plays one of the guys. And there's a couple like known actors that didn't quite get there at that point. It's like early roles, and it is right at the hair end of Bruce Willis's like give a shit career. Because right after this movie, he just stopped giving a shit in all of his movies. This movie came out in 2005. So it's right at the end of just Bruce Willis even pretending to act in movies. So he gives this really great performance of this hostage negotiator. His friend gets these guys break into his dealer or whatever, and they're trying to break into his safe. This guy, he's living at home he's played by Kevin Pollak. He has a daughter and a son, a really young kid, and then like a teenage daughter. And these guys break into the house, they tie him up, and there's a back and forth the entire movie between Bruce Willis, who is outside of the house trying to orchestrate a way to get these guys out and to negotiate like what they want, except these guys are just a bunch of dumbass teenagers who don't really know what they want. They just broke in because they wanted to, the girl was hot, and then they wanted to get the diamonds or whatever. They overheard something about that. The way that they basically just stalk these people on their way home, and then they decide, they're on drugs, and they're like, fuck it, we're just going to break in and we're going to take their stuff. There's the kid in the movie does a lot of Home Alone type stuff where, he sets up traps for these guys. So there's that element to it. But I just like the back and forth element of it, where normally we're with the people inside the house trying to save themselves. In this movie, the people inside the house are truly helpless, and it's on Bruce Willis, who we should already know and love, to save these people while also dealing with his own failures. That he's fucked up a hostage negotiation before, and everybody got killed, and he can't live with them. So he can't. There's that trope of like, I can't let this one go.
He's got that ghost of his past. He's got to correct it.
Yeah, but it's all done within the tropes of the genre. You know, it's basically, you know, like a hard boiled movie, but with hostages. So, anyways, yeah, look it up, check it out. Again, not a great movie by any stretch, but a personal favorite of mine. Hostage.
Yeah.
It's probably my favorite home invasion movie. The one I've seen the most, for sure.
Cool. Yeah. Yeah. Sometimes the bad ones are the fun ones. The ones that are most fun.
I mean, I don't think it's bad. It's certainly 3 or 4 times better than The Rental.
Yeah.
It's fun. It's fun. It's got some budget. It's got some cool action shots. It's fun. Yeah.
Cool. All right. So my number 1 is You're Next. So this is the one of the better mumblecore films. Yeah. I really like this film, and I'm
gonna mark that right now.
I forget, but there was a comparison. There was a film that came out. Oh yeah. There was a film that came out recently. It was called. Oh man, I forget what it was called. But it was a very similar premise to this film with a way bigger budget, and it looked nicer. But this film was like way better.
Okay.
And I just love this film because it's so simple. It's so, you know, it just hits everything right on the head of what it's trying to do.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, the setup is really simple. They're all at this like party or whatever. And like beforehand, we see who are the killers do their killing.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And then they're at the house, and like the main girl, like she kind of lets out this stuff like, oh yeah, well, my dad was kind of crazy and he was a survivalist, blah, blah, blah. And then she fucking starts killing these people. And it's awesome. It's an awesome film. It is my absolute favorite home invasion movie.
Okay.
And it's one of my favorite horror movies. Because like it doesn't try to do anything kind of too much. It's just like, you know what's gonna happen. They're gonna come.
Mm-hmm.
And they're going to start killing people, and someone's going to kill them. And it's all very effective, in my opinion.
Cool. So it sounds like we kind of, throughout our top 5, we kind of go back and forth between like, this one's actually trying to do something, this one's not. And then ultimately we landed on something that is really fun, that we really kind of like.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure it does have a theme, but sort of like, if I compared it to The Rental, like the style is more distinct and better. I think of all the like mumblecore films I've seen, it's the best one. And it really sticks the landing. It sticks everything with the film. Like the villains are so memorable, just the way they look. I think it's a good comparison to the Strangers.
Oh, is that the one with the guy wearing they have masks on and stuff?
It's a lamb. Yeah.
It's a lamb. Okay, because I think
lamb mask
for this movie. I haven't seen it yet though.
Yeah, I believe they all wear lamb masks.
Okay.
I think. I forget. It's been a while. So, hold on, let me look it up.
Dishonorable mention to the first Purge, which was really, I feel like the movie that brought this to the mainstream, masked invaders kind of a thing. Because Strangers wasn't a big hit. I don't think You're Next was a particularly big hit. But the Purge was the one that was just like creepy people wearing masks, doing funny dances outside are gonna fucking come and kill you. Except that movie does everything that we just talked about for the last 30 minutes. Wrong. There's a kid in the movie that plays with an RC car. Wrong. Has a kid, but it's not done for. It's not fucking. Doesn't lose its own logic.
Yeah, and sometimes when that happens, you just completely lose the movie. You're just like, okay, I'm done.
Yeah, and that's one of the. If I can say anything about The Purge, is just the level of incompetence. It just ruins it for you.
Yeah. Sometimes they're just too dumb. So the movie I was thinking of as a comparison was Ready or Not, which is about this like rich girl who marries into this rich family, and then they have to play this game.
That's a recent one, right?
Yeah, that one came out in 2019. So to me, You're Next and Ready or Not are like basically the same film.
Okay.
Like Ready or Not, definitely it looks better. Like they cast some big name actors. Like what's her name is going to be a huge star at some point. The lead of that film. It's something Weaving. She's like
Samara Weaving.
She's like the cousin of Hugo.
Yeah.
She's gonna be huge in like 2 years. Like,
yeah, I think so. And she's on her way for sure.
But like, I don't know. Like the ending of that film didn't hit me right, and they really are like the same film. It's just like You're Next does everything that film was trying to do, but it hits every single beat.
And would you say, I haven't seen either of these movies, but would you say Your Next is a little more scaled back and therefore hits the point?
It's scaled way down. Yeah. It's scaled way down, and it makes it feel more real.
Mm-hmm.
It makes it feel more visceral. And
sorry, no, finish your thought.
Yeah, and it works better for me. And like, I just feel like it's leagues better. It's just leagues better.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So basically, the rental that sticks the landing.
Yes. Yeah. Well, I feel like the rental was trying to be like The Strangers. It was trying to be The Strangers.
You think so? Because if it was trying to be The Strangers, it was too dumb to be.
Maybe I don't know. Because The Strangers is like the comparison, right? I
guess
I would think, because they're kind of similar, but like if he was going,
I think it has more in common with A Cabin in the Woods or a Friday the 13th than with anything else, because it goes for those tropes. It goes for those stupid ass. They basically, all the characters act like teenagers.
They do, yeah.
Whereas The Strangers is like really, it starts out serious, maintains its seriousness, gets very serious. Whereas this movie kind of ebbs and flows a little bit. Like, do we like these people? Do we not like these people?
I mean, I feel like it's hard to compare The Rental because it's like, it doesn't really succeed.
True.
We're trying to compare a film that doesn't succeed on the things we're trying to do to films
that did, yeah.
That did, and so we'd have to think of some other film that sucked to find a real accurate comparison.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, those are our lists. Those are like some really good films in the genre.
Yeah, check them out. And I was going to say, I found it very interesting and surprising that there's no crossover between our lists.
Yeah, I think that we had some similar ideas. Like, you thought of Funny Games, you thought of like The Collector.
I did, yeah.
You had idea, but like, yeah, none of them matched up.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. So my list is more cracked out. Your list seems to be more straightforward, I guess.
Yeah, I think these are like the ones that succeed on what they were trying to do.
Yeah.
In a lot of ways.
Yeah.
They might not be like the best film. Like, is The Collector the best film? No. But it goes for something.
Yeah. And honestly, if you had $4 and you were going to watch the rental or any of the 10 movies, including The Collector, watch The Collector.
Oh my God, watch The Collector. Yeah. You'll have fun.
Yeah. There's got to be an element of fun.
Like, think about this too. Like, will you ever remember any of the kills from The Rental?
No, I already forgot. Dude, I was thinking today, I was just going over in my head and I was like, wait a minute. How did Josh, how did he die?
Yeah.
Huh?
Well, I feel like Josh. So the final girl kill is memorable. Like, it's kind of like, when she was running, I literally thought in my head, is she just gonna fall off a cliff?
It's memorable in that it's stupid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's like The Collector kills. Like, there's a kill in The Collector where like these teenagers are going into like the living room and there's these booby traps and like the protagonist is seeing them. Yeah, like
yeah,
that's a good kill. Like, that's memorable.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah.
Collector's on my shelf, so can't say. I think I'm going to be picking up the rental Blu-ray when that comes out.
Yeah. All right. Well, yeah, I think that's everything that we want to cover.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah,
I enjoyed this.
Yeah, this has definitely been fun. So hopefully we'll see if there's something else we could do for, I don't know, next week or next couple weeks. We had talked before about Greyhound.
Mm-hmm. We can do that if you want.
Yeah, Greyhound would be an interesting one to talk about.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so maybe next week we'll do that, and we might have a third guest pop in. So yeah, and then hopefully we'll have an official name for this podcast.
Yeah, but for the 3 of you out there who really wanted to know about the and the 0 of you that made it to this far into the video.
Yeah, I know, right? Yeah. Well, the great thing about the internet is that there's so much stuff, but there's always someone who cares about something.
You never know. Yeah.
There'll be someone they'll start watching and they'll be like, you know what? I really agree with these guys about how I felt about The Rental. I'm gonna watch this whole thing. So thank you, one person.
Yeah.
Stick around for the next one.
Yeah, stick around for the next one. All right, guys. Take care.
Have a good one.
Signing off.